Hi everyone and welcome to the REFSIX weekly podcast. Today we've got a special edition of the podcast where we've invited Hove Powell to come and speak about what she thinks makes a good referee. For many of you that don't know Hove Powell, she's the current Brighton and Hove Albion manager. But before she was a manager, she played for Millwall, Fulham, Bromley and Croydon. She's also represented England 66 times and scored 35 goals.
And after playing for England, she actually went on to manage England for 15 years. Now, as John mentioned, she is the manager of Brighton and Hove Albion in the Women's Super League. She became the first woman ever to achieve to get her UEFA Pro license. And this chat is absolute fire. We talk about a variety of different topics around refereeing, her knowledge of laws of the game, how she interacts with referees, what she looks for in referees, and technology and things that they can implement in the Women's Super League. So a great show in store for you, and it's going to start now. Hi, Hope. How are you?
Thank you. How are you?
We're doing well. Thanks for joining us today. Like what we would love to do today is just get an understanding of the relationship between managers and referees at your level. So thanks for giving us some time today. The major thing the first thing we wanted to talk about was, over the last few years, there's been a lot of law changes. Whether that's from goal kicks now being able to be passed just inside the box to a variety of different things, yellow card for a penalty, for a dog zone in the past, etc. So what we wanted to understand is, how do you kind of keep yourself up to date with law? And do you sit there and read a book, or do you have people who work for you and give you the information? How does that work?
Yeah, I'm quite lazy, actually, to be honest. We're fortunate that at the beginning of the season we have the referees come in and talk about the laws of the game and some of the changes, and it's quite challenging sometimes when it's something quite new to quite often remember that. So fortunately, I never read the laws of the game book. I generally, the staff, we kind of debate it between the staff and try and get some clarity around what certain rules mean, or are we interpreting this right? So we discuss it, if you like, amongst the staff, but generally the staff kind of keep me abreast of it. So this season there's been quite a few.
Handball and
it's quite, because it moves so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to forget, to be honest. So two ways: referees come in, and then amongst staff we try and keep abreast of it.
Brilliant. And then do you kind of, so the goal kick piece, for example, is a really easy one to remember, where it doesn't have to come out the box anymore, right? Do any of these laws, do you ever take them in and actually start thinking tactically, how can we?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, especially with that law, which means as that ball is rolled, you can then enter, can't you? So that will affect, do you press high? Do you allow the team to play out? I mean, there's so factors that align to rule changes. So I think what it does, it makes you basically think about your tactics in the game. How are we going to, if we're a team that want to play out, how are we going to do this effectively in line with the new rule change? So it does make you think tactically, possession, out possession, etc.
It's interesting because you initially just changed my mind, because I was thinking defensively, do we play out now or do we go long? Whereas you were thinking attacking straight away. You were like, do we press them or do we allow them to play? Which is really interesting.
Yeah, which does make it, you've got to be quite tactically astute in that sense. Know your opposition, because it has an effect to the, if you're out of possession, are you going to press aggressively? Have you got quick forwards that can close down the player on the ball if the goalkeeper chooses to play it out to, in effect, what generally is the two centre halves sit within the box. So it does kind of constantly make you go, what's the plan? What's the plan?
It's funny because we've been able to see from the stats of the referees who use our app that the distance referees run now is higher, and we think it's related to the goal kicks, because all of a sudden they don't have to. What normally happened was you go to the halfway line, you get a little 5 second, 10-second breather, and now it's just go straight back into it.
In itself means that the referees have to be fitter,
Exactly.
Fitter, cover a greater distance, and have to probably be, a lot quicker than they were before. So it has an effect in all areas, actually.
Yep.
Yeah. So following on from like obviously the referees, like so you get the appointments of the referees a couple of days, maybe a week in advance. Do you ever do any research on the referees? Like if you've had the same one more than once, do you sort of remember them or like look into them, what they're like?
Again, no, I don't. In all honesty, the staff will remind me, if there was something that needed to be reminded of in a previous game. So no, you just, well, I do anyway. Just hope that the referee they're able to do their job effectively. Appreciate that it is not an easy job to do, but I don't generally I don't study the referee as I would study the opposition. Put it that way.
Yeah, no, that's quite nice to know actually. That we don't get that much attention. Do you like throughout the week? Yeah. Do you coach the players on like interacting with referees? Like tell them what sort of like if you want them to talk to the referee or if you just want them to stay away? Like, is there a special like philosophy you have around that?
Not really. I'm not saying that wouldn't come into play, but at this moment in time, no. I think generally what would happen is if you get to know the personality of the referee in the first half, you would probably tend to talk about it at half time. Look, the referee, is quite lenient, or the referee is quite card happy. You might need to, adjust your behaviours accordingly. So little things like that might come into play. I think generally the relationships, and I'm sure you're going to come onto this, but I'll say it anyway. I think for me as a manager, the relationship with the fourth official is probably greater than the relationship with the referees trying to deal with 22 players. So it's far easier for me to focus on that fourth official.
That's really
no, that's interesting. Speaking on like gathering like the referee's personality, do you speak to them prior to the match, and then trying to get that sort of personality there and then, or like say it's more a half-time thing?
I'm sure that the managers do. My focus is just about the players. We try to play as best we can within the laws of the game. I don't want to influence them before the game. I try not to influence during the game. I have my conversations with the fourth official. Some you see, some I think with me, I'm so immersed in it, and every time we play, I always think, right, I must shake the referee's hand, and I never do. It's not because I don't want to, it's just simply that I see them as part of.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas my relationship is generally with the fourth official.
Mm-hmm.
Which I very rarely even have a conversation with the referee after the game, which is not me being rude. It's just I'm so focused on
your job, on
my job. So yeah,
that's really interesting because sometimes I guess as referees, you might think if the manager hasn't come over and shaken your hand, you might think, oh, what have I done to upset them? But your point is,
and I do consciously. Right, I must try and shake the referee's hand, and I always forget. And it is anything to do with, whether I feel they've been good or not. It is just genuinely, I am just in a different.
Interesting. So I guess the biggest question for us, and we've got a few more, but I think this is the one that we're really keen to hear about is, we hear a lot of bad things about referees and decisions, but what in your eyes, and I think I know where you're going to go with this, but what in your eyes makes a good referee, and what attributes do they need?
Yeah, the attributes, I think the modern game certainly has got quicker. So they need to be able to stay up with play. I'm not just talking about the referee in the middle of the park. I'm talking about the lines. Do you still call them lines, people?
We call them assistant referees.
See, there you go. These are the things. Even referees are sometimes, I look at it and I am concerned because of the pace of the game, they can't keep up. You know, and I have that conversation with the fourth official. You know, you've got to try and get these fourth officials to keep up. So I think that's one, keeping up with play.
Yeah.
You know, the balance, being fair, treating both. And I'm not saying that this happens for 1 minute, but being fair, being consistent in those decisions. You know, if you give it one, you know, you've got to be consistent with the decisions you are making. So that's another, the consistency of refereeing is sometimes, oh, okay, you know, and quite often, and this is me with the fourth official, you know, I don't understand the rules because I clearly don't understand the rules because I don't understand that. And obviously not being biased and all those things you would expect, but honest and fair and treating players with, I think, the respect they deserve.
Yeah.
So not being patronising because they're females. Now I've experienced that. So just that consistency, keeping up with play.
Cool. No, that's fair. And then, so my next three questions are all about kind of your level, the Women's Super League, and kind of what, you know, certain things there. So the first one is, at the moment, there are not full-time referees, right? And I think both this question and the next one are going to be budget related. So let's assume there's budget available for that. What do you think the benefit would be to the league if the referees were full-time?
Well, I think, you know, we look at it and I think sometimes because we are, I guess, as managers, as players, when it isn't going your way, rightly or wrongly, it's easy sometimes for us to blame the referees. It is, you know.
That deflecting? Is it?
Yeah, deflect, you know, sometimes. But there is sometimes quite obvious instances, for example, the fourth officials where they're behind play and it's quite evident it's offside, you know, even from where I'm sitting or someone in the stand and they're behind play. The game now in the WSL, all the players are full-time. They're fitter, stronger, faster than they've ever been. You know, the referees, in order for them to keep up with the game, you can't expect there to be parity between somebody who is full-time and somebody who is part-time. How does that work? So I think that in itself is doing a disservice to referees. So in my opinion, they should be full-time. We're asking players to be professional, full-time athletes. We want the game to reach another level. Why are we not demanding or investing in the same with the referees? It's not fair on the refs. You know, and then we can truly judge, I think. You know, if they're full-time, players are full-time, you know, and they're not keeping up with the game, they're behind play, that's a truer, you know, what's the word? Justification of their capabilities or not.
Yeah.
And it's a bit unfair. You know, that's, I have utmost respect for referees. I don't always think, you know, they get it right, but neither do I. I'm fortunate that I can pass comment on what I see. But I have sympathies for them because it's not easy.
See, we're referees, myself and John, and a lot of the ones that listen to us, and we don't always agree with referees too. But it's nice to hear that there is a balancing act there. On a similar line, do you think goal line technology and VAR are things that you would like to see? Not.
I have a really split view. Yes, absolutely, because when things are so evidently clear that a mistake has been made, it allows you to change that decision. On the other end of it, now it's the thing is there are still human beings behind VAR. So even with VAR, the decisions are sometimes wrong. You know, you know, so, and it slows the game down. But if I am an owner of a football club, for example, and the wrong decision means I get relegated, or the VAR makes the right decision and I manage to stay in the league, then I'm going for VAR.
Yeah.
I think it's really difficult. It's because it stops the flow of the game. The decisions on VAR are not consistent again because they're human beings behind the machine.
Yeah.
So I really, but when it highlights that things are so, the referee has got it so clearly wrong, that's when it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I would like to be in that position, basically.
But out of the two, would you say full-time referees are the thing that needs to come first?
In this game, absolutely. In this country, full-time referees, absolutely.
And then last piece around the Women's Super League and
sorry, even if you have VAR and they're not full-time, so they might still be behind play and the decisions happen, they're nowhere near it. I mean, get to play first and get that bit right first, I think.
Yeah, good comment.
And then when you were an international manager, you would have had a variety of different referee kind of cultures and variations, right? So what was there any difference between what's happening in the WSL from refereeing and what you saw internationally? Was it very similar?
Different cultures view the game differently. You know, some would view it as a non-contact sport when clearly it is. So that was quite challenging. I just think levels of exposure internationally were not consistent. So it was so different. You know, the country from where where you're from, the interpretation of the rules, the speed of the game, you know, the inconsistencies are quite evident, you know, across the globe. You know, and I think even though in this country, certainly in the women's game, where I think the referees should be full-time, I think they're exposed to a better standard than you know, perhaps what I've seen internationally in some cases.
Brilliant.
Yeah, that's quite interesting. Following on from that sort of like different culture things, at like our level, especially mine and Hassan's, we're told to like talk to the players quite a lot. Oh, you can't hear me?
What level are you? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I'm level 4, so I can line Lewis Ladies, which I think is the championship.
Yeah.
Is that the championship? So I do a couple of them games a year. Yeah, I should. But we're told to talk to the players as much as we can, explain our decisions. Do you like it when referees do that to the players, or do you think it's a lot of the time you just want to get the ball down and play?
Well, I think, you know, I've been in games where I felt that a referee's speaking too much. You know, when they're really decisions that we don't need a soliloquy, you know, to talk about it on and on. You know, if it's a foul, play on, give it and go. It just slows the game down. So I think there are times when you can talk, but you can still move the ball and get it going. But quite often, you know, players feel it's patronising. You know,
Quite an interesting point.
It's quite patronising. All right, I've made a foul. I might contest it, and then you might have to say, look, it's a freak. You did this. Get on with it, but not, you know, a drawn out, you know, long. Let the game flow. You know, the breaking up and having a chat and too long, I just don't agree with. It's patronising. You don't do it in the men's game.
No, that's quite an interesting point, actually, and it's probably something that I struggle with quite a lot, talking to a lot of players, trying to explain something. But like you say, try and get it going. Another thing we spoke about is obviously referees needing to get fitter and faster. So do you think like body image is important for a referee?
Absolutely. I think it sends a really positive message to anyone else who wants to be a referee. It's taken seriously. It's looked upon as something that is worthy of doing. So I think, it's really important that referees are athletic, that are fit, that can cover the ground, that can do the job effectively in close to play. So for me, very important.
Yeah, no. My final question from me is: are there things from the refereeing community that you would change or adopt? So, yeah, anything that you thought?
I just think full-time referees, if you're at the top end of the game, full-time professionals, that would be my main one. I'm having to think about this. Yeah, full-time referees in the women's game, and I like, I think one of the things that referees aren't doing that is a new rule in the women's game is sending off a manager. That's right. That there have been times when I don't, they haven't enforced the rules.
Do you think you should have been sent off?
Not me, no. I would never be disrespectful. I don't believe in, the fourth official, the referee. I would never do that. I would have fun, or I would disagree, but I would never be rude. And I have experienced some of that. And I'm, to the fourth official, why is that person not being sent off?
Yeah. It's funny because I Googled Hove Powell referee earlier because I was wondering if there was going to be any news articles where you'd said anything bad, and I couldn't find any, and that just shows, I guess, your approach.
You Google anybody else in the WSL though?
I know some other ones. Yeah.
For consistency, because if there's some that have been, then that would be unfair to say that it's just me who is, I don't know, whiter than white, but I really respect. I don't always agree, but I really respect the referees have a tough job. All around the world, I work with. I try to have a bit of fun. Quite often I give my glasses over, but I'm doing it. I know how. My job's hard enough, so I can only imagine. I'm trying to deal with 11 players. They're trying to deal with 22. It's not easy.
I hope so far this has been incredible conversation. I've got two more questions. The one that's kind of been brought up by your piece today is you speak to the fourth official more than the referee. So what does those conversations look like? Are you asking for clarity mainly? And
sometimes clarity, I don't understand the rules is what I quite often say, because I'm not, or I ask just for, my frustrations, like, our ball, and I'm, and I look, was that not our ball? And sometimes they'll go, yes, Hope, and then that kind of go, okay, I was right. I'm not seeing, or I think I'm seeing, or they will say, no, Hope, that came off, and I go, okay, so it just gives me, rather than vent and go crazy at the referee, I just try and have a conversation. I want their involvement. How much time's left for it? Can you tell the referee to tell the officials to keep up with play? So I use them as a bit of a conduit to get messages on,
sure,
and that they see themselves.
So one of the things you just mentioned was, let's say there was a handball, the referee hasn't given it, but you've asked the fourth official, they agree with you it was. Does that calm you down, or are you even more irate that it wasn't given?
I try not to, in all honesty, I try not to, because I try and, I don't know, I try and play it in the spirit in the moment that everybody's human and people will make mistakes, and I know it's hard enough. The good thing I get to do is go, I can score the referee at the end of the game. And then I will put Mr. Clear and Obvious.
Do you do it? And you do that yourself? You don't, that's done by you?
No, I do.
Brilliant.
Yeah, we have this score thing at the end. I make the comments on the referee. So I know I can, and that's not necessarily, that's me trying to help the referees be better, so that hopefully the people that are assessing them can go, I've worked internationally where, referees have been assessed. I've worked with assessors, referees. So I know how important it is to sometimes highlight really key moments. It's important. We're all to develop, it's important.
And would you also put positives on there as well if you saw something specifically positive?
Yeah, good job, or did well, or, you know, fair comments. No other comments are needed usually means that I think they've done all right.
Yeah. So final question for you. Would you ever be a referee, and have you ever thought about doing it at all, doing a course?
I've been a referee in fun. I referee when we play, you know, we play with the players. So yesterday we were in training. We you know, had 3 20-minute session, quite intense. I refereed the game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I just make it clear I'm the referee. I'll make every decision. Get on with it. That's it. If I get any back chat, my card comes out. Yeah. I don't mind doing it in fun and in spirit. Would I do it as a career?
Not full time.
I wouldn't say no.
Okay. So we'll hold you to this. We'd like you to referee a game in the future. We'll get you into a game.
I'll do that. What I generally say is, shut up, get on with it.
I like that.
Shut up, get on with it. I'm the referee. That's it.
Brilliant.
So I'd happily do it. I'll hold you to that. I'll be
Excellent.
quite good at it, but I won't be able to keep up with play. Just
Maybe we'll do in a youth game. That will be the best one. A youth game. Perfect. Hope. Thank you so much for giving us some time. We really appreciate it. And good luck with the rest of the season. And we'll catch you in that game when we'll organise that game for you to be a referee.
yeah, make sure you're both playing so I can send you off.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Hope. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Hope Powell. We definitely did on our side. This will be our last episode until the new year. So we just wanted to say thanks for listening. Thanks for being part of the REFSIX community. And we will see you in early January. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And we'll see you then. Stay safe.